Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome back to another New World video. Today we're looking at Chapter 4 of the main story quest in New World. It's basically how to upgrade your Azov staff from Tier 3 to Tier 4. At the end of the the third chapter, you're asked to go and clear the Depths, which is the third dungeon in New World. I recommend level 45, but you can do it from level 40. From this point, you're going to be asked to kill Commander Thorpe, who is kind of like the big bad boss of the dungeon. He's the guy that you fought at the start of the game as well, so there's some connection there to the lore. I'm not going to be going through a whole dungeon walkthrough. Just going to be going kind of showing you my few main tips about the dungeon itself. So, one thing I would say is don't forget to look for any chests that you find. There is one up this sneakily at the top of this tree that you need to go and find. It can be a little bit hard to get to, but it's worth doing. All the same, you get some good loot. The dungeon is fairly straightforward. It's not as hard as I would say Barrows. It's a lot easier in that dungeon. It's fairly quicker as well. Although you will have some difficulty on the boss fights. They can be quite difficult. All of the mini bosses cause no problems. The only one I can think of might be the tendrils, which if you're a ranged DPS, they will one-shot you or two-shot you if you're not moving around. So make sure you're rolling, make sure you're kind of seeing, maybe even looking to see where he's attacking from. These ranged tendrils, and stay at distance or keep moving. Now, the first mini boss is Archdemon Azumeda. Now, this boss can be quite difficult, and I mean, for me, I didn't know what to do when I first started this boss, and it's not particularly easy to understand without having to have somebody that's done it before. So she's going to have three phases in her fight. You'll be introduced to these mine type things earlier on in the dungeon. These will play a big part. The first phase, you just need to hit her down until she becomes immune. She'll summon in these couple of dogs at some point to kill those dogs off. But the main point is when she becomes immune. She will unlock these. She will start channeling her kind of like ability, and she'll be spawning different spires around her feet. These bombs or spires will blow up and cause damage, but you can kill them before they do that. So that's really important. You have to have somebody killing these spires at all times, otherwise they can wipe your party if you spawn too many. Person or two, whilst people are on the ground killing these spires, I'd recommend either 2 or 3, depending on how big your party is. If you've got 5 and you've got good DPS on your other 2 characters, 3 of you can stay on the ground killing them. Preferably someone with a high attack speed weapon like a spear or a rapier is the best way to kill these spires. But 2 players need to go up to the one of the pedestals on either side of the map. You can't really see it here in my footage, but there's 2 little points where you teleport up, and you have to kill these 2 enemies and channel your Azov staff around this like circular thing on the ground. At which point it will kind of disrupt her flow after the first phase, and it will make her it needs to be hit again. The first stage isn't too hard. It's when it gets to the second stage it gets harder. It's basically you have to do the same thing over and over again, but it's much more difficult. So you'll get her down really low. She'll channel her immunity again. At which point, quickly you're kind of limited on time. Send 2 people up to the teleporter. Do the same again. Kill the 2 enemies. Channel the Azov staff, but then you have to get teleported down and do it on the other side. At this point, she's going to start spawning 3 bombs. Now, realistically, unless you've got 2 really fast attackers, you're going to struggle to kill all 3. So, just focus on 2. Don't try and do all 3. Tank the damage and hope your healer can kind of heal you through it. If you've been too slow, she'll start spawning 4, at which point it becomes quite hard. And after tanking too many hits of 4, people will start dying, and at that point, if somebody dies in the run, you just wipe and start again. There's not too much punishment for wiping really, so I would just recommend wiping rather than, battling it out. Try and make it harder for yourself. If someone dies in this dungeon, in this boss, it can be quite difficult to carry on. So yeah, definitely recommend the wipe. And after you've killed the 2 portals on the side of the map, it becomes she can just be hit down in a couple of hits. So yeah, that's kind of like the tips for Archdeacon Azumeda. Okay, so final boss we have Commander Thorpe. He is pretty difficult. Um, some parties might just get completely stuck on this guy, but the one thing I would say for this fight is you just need to dodge his attacks. Unlike Simon in the first dungeon in Amarine, you don't have the arena to play with as a DPS. You have to get up close and quarters with him, even as a ranged attacker, so a boa or a fire staffer. You have to get close to him, and there's going to be some attacks which are going to be aimed at you, because obviously you're drawing aggro, you're doing lots of damage, so he's going to be hitting you with his attacks. Simple as that. My one tip would be here just to dodge his attacks. It's much easier if you're focused on dodging him and kind of like his patterns. Learning what he does to begin with and maybe wiping a couple times isn't too bad, because you're essentially learning how to beat him, which is, going to be good for the fight. The fight itself isn't too hard. After you kill his first health bar, he will regen and summon in these like ads or these two little enemies. They can be kind of tricky. They summon these big balls of spit, which can do a lot of damage. But focus those down as soon as they spawn, and it'll make the tank's job a lot easier in this fight. His two main attacks to watch out for are his fire leap with his sword. If he starts channeling something, just back away. Be prepared to dodge the attack. That's my one tip for that. It's also got a beam which he spins around the arena. You can actually roll under it, but you can literally just walk around it and walk around his back. A few times in this fight, I will just walk around the beam and start stabbing him in the back, just because he's going to be sat there for a couple of seconds, channeling his beam out. And then the final attack to dodge would be his fire circle that he summons. If you're standing in the circle itself, it doesn't do damage. But if you're on the border where the fire actually is, it will hurt. It will, potentially kill you in a couple of seconds of impact. And he's got 2 health bars, so after you take him down the first time, he'll kind of regen a little bit, and then just kill him again. It's not a hard fight if you're focused on dodging, but if people start to down, again, just wipe it. And once you've done that, you should have the Into the Depths quest completed. Okay, so after your triumphant return to the fort, you're going to find out that it's actually all gone to shit. Your next quest is unfortunately going to be to deal with the corrupted Jonas, who is the quest giver. I've seen people actually struggle with this quest. I coincidentally was walking towards the quest and I partnered up with someone to do it, and it was easy. So if you're struggling with this, pass it with someone. But I think as level 50, I could have soloed it. I kind of tanked a few. I kind of tanked a few silly hits because I knew I had somebody else to help me in the fight. But after walking to the zone at the top of Brightwood, you need to enter this cave. At which point you kill a few mobs, and Jonas is at the end of the cave. He's not a boss fight like he is like a dungeon. He's just a normal like elite enemy that takes a few hits to kill. Not particularly hard at all. So after you kill Jonas, you're going to be sent to back to the fort and then to Rest Ashore, which is going to be kind of like the next hub for the next couple of the quests. Now, there's some stuff here about having to go to Arclight Cavern and kill some pirate enemies. They aren't particularly hard to kill. You might want to pass it up for this quest if you're struggling with the enemies at your current level. There's a few notes you've got to read. They are all within the cave and they're all marked, so just look to the markers. And then one boss to kill as well, who isn't particularly hard. Especially if you have somebody with you. I mean, I was level 51 at the time of doing this, and I found it extremely easy. So, you can definitely do it at a lower level, and even easier with somebody else there to help you. After this, you have one final quest to go and speak to a talking dog. Don't ask me why. They're at the top of Rest Ashore by the teleporter point. So if you've unlocked that already, bonus, you can just teleport up there, go and speak to the dog. He'll then send you back down to Rest Ashore. There's something there that I missed clearly because I was reading it and I'm like, what does this even mean? This was a waste of time. Okay, so the final mission to do before you reach your Azov Staff Tier 4 is to go to Edengrove. Now, this I would say is quite hard to even get to. You are going to need to be at least level 50, I would say, to even complete this quest. Otherwise, you're just going to get killed. Even I struggled to actually make it down to the the quest giver. It's actually the lady that you were speaking to before for the first part of the quest when you get the seed, the living seed from her. So you go and revisit her in Eden Grove. The quest, like I said, is just you just go and speak to her, but it's actually getting there which is a bit of a struggle. The enemies in Eden Grove are quite hard, and as somebody with not the best armor, I do struggle. So yeah, if you haven't unlocked Eden Grove already, you're gonna have to walk there from either the Great Cleave or Morningdale. So again, two pretty difficult areas. So I definitely recommend that you do this at level 51. But once you've spoken to her, she will give you the Azoth Staff Tier 4. So hopefully this was a good tutorial. Hopefully this gave you some insight into how to complete Chapter 4 of the New World mission. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the next one for what I believe is the final chapter in the main story.